Okay, fellas, great job in that first qualifying round of the Champions League and still doing really well domestically, so that's good. Next up, we've got Astana from Kazakhstan, so if you need a movie reference for that, go and check out Borat. If we get through this round, same as last year, we guarantee ourselves a place in the group stages of a European competition this season, and that would be really helpful now that we have a new chairperson, because I don't know if the brownie points that we've got on board for the past few years are going to help in terms of my job now. So if you can do well, that would be really great, guys. We should be beating these guys hopefully, but can you make sure of it, please? Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 49 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and in today's episode we take on Kazakhstan's Astana in the second qualifying round of the Champions Path of the Champions League for the 2025-26 season. So if you are looking forward to this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, remember to also hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But since the end of yesterday's episode, there's been a little bit of stuff happen in terms of the club. We have a new chairperson for the first time in 3 years. That does change our club vision just a little bit, albeit I think it actually helps some things compared to what the previous board did have, because a lot of the 5-year plan things have disappeared. That stuff like play attacking football, play counter-attacking football. And with the new vertical tiki-taka system, they were actually not too pleased just after we did bow out to Napoli in the Conference League knockouts last season. So they were on our case a little bit for that. We did help improve that throughout the early stages of the domestic season. And now that we do have a new chairperson at the club culture is simply now just to strive to make progress on and off the pitch, still work within the wage budget and sign players to sell for a profit. So I actually think the new chairperson here is actually going to help us out a little bit, just with having less criteria in amongst that 5-year plan. They still expect us to win the top division, but we should absolutely be doing that by the end of next season. We are already doing that in a very good position at the moment in domestic competitions. But a little bit of a club update there, a new chairperson at the helm of Völsungur, but we have played just the one domestic game since the end of yesterday's episode, which if you missed, I'll leave a link to it above my head in the top right corner, the first qualifying round of the Champions League against the team from Hogwarts/Lithuania. And that game was in the fourth round of the Mulka against second tier Phil Kerr, and this is the game when Benjamin Rubio, after a few scratchy performances since joining the club, he really started to hit his stride, open the scoring there pretty early on and made it a double around the 24-minute mark. Sakularak slowing him through there, just rolling that into the bottom right corner. We do have a little bit of an update about Sakularak off the back of this game, because unfortunately he is injured and out for some time. Then in the second half, with about 12 minutes to go, Wilson Isidore got his first goal in a little while in this rotation team, and then in injury time we upped the tempo trying to get Rubio his hat-trick, and thankfully he did get the job done with 2 minutes into the added time from the referee, and we pick up a very comfortable 4-0 win away from home and keep marching on in the Mulka. But the biggest news out of this game is what you will see there in the 52nd minute. Christian Sakularak picking up a serious injury, and he is going to be out for 2 to 4 weeks with a twisted ankle. You'll also notice Arnason, who is his replacement in the Champions League squad for this round, as he can cover that Mazzala role quite nicely. He has also got a tight thigh and will be missing from the first leg of this upcoming tie against Kazakhstan's Astana. So that is the change that we have made, replacing a seriously injured player with a slightly injured player. That's the change that we have made. But first team-wise, we go into this one with pretty much the same squad, just that one change on the bench with Sakularak out, which is a little bit of a shame, but Arnason also quite versatile. He can cover the right wing as well as centre midfield. Not quite as versatile as Sakularak, who can cover both sides on the wing as well as the midfield, but still not a bad replacement to have a player who is actually higher rated star rating wise than Sukularak is. But what that win in that Mulkabikaran game means is we are now in the quarterfinals, yet again taking on a team from the lower leagues. And after Relding, that's another game that we should be winning quite comfortably, even if we do put out a rotation team for that game. But today we are in the second qualifying round of the Champions Path of the Champions League. There are the other draws. The other game that we need to keep an eye out on in this round, if we are going to be winning this one, which we do want to do, it guarantees ourselves a place at least in the group stages of the Conference League, even if we did lose our next 2 ties in a row. But the next teams that we would be facing is going to be the winner of the tie between Red Star and Sheriff. So a few bigger teams than we've met so far in this qualification this season, but we are in quite good touch based on what we've seen so far this season. Hopefully we can keep that up against Astana and then against whoever we do meet at the start of next week, either Red Star or Sheriff. Having a quick look at Astana before we do get into this game. They're another team from a non-playable league in the game from Kazakhstan, but they are a decent team, a little bit stronger than the one that we did meet yesterday, the team from Lithuania. They got past Sligo Rovers in the first qualifying round 4-2 on aggregate. They did lose that second leg away from home, so that might just suggest they're not quite as good as us potentially, but hopefully we can prove that on the field over these 2 legs. The first leg today is away from home for us as well, so that could mean this tie is a little bit closer going into that second leg, but hopefully we can get the job done over both legs nonetheless. And around this time also, we do have the second qualifying round of the Conference League kicking off. We did not update you guys on what happened in the first qualifying round of this in yesterday's episode. Luckily, a few Icelandic teams have actually done well in the first qualifying round this time around. You can see there Breidablik winning their tie over a team from the Faroe Islands 3-1 on aggregate. We make our way down a little bit further. HK also progressing 2-0 over Northern Ireland's Lana, but the unfortunate news is the runners-up to us last year in Valareykjavik, they bowed out to the North Macedonian team Varka Skopje 4-0 on aggregate. So yet again, Valareykjavik not really pulling their weight European-wise, but looking at the other ties for that competition in today's episode, you can see if we make our way down a little bit further, HK have a tie against AZ from the Netherlands. I suspect that is going to be quite tough for those guys, and going down a little bit further, Breidablik will be taking on the Greek outfit Asteras Tripolis. That looks like a slightly easier tie for the team who currently find themselves bottom of the islands Dildon, but that is what things look like European-wise going into the second qualifying round of these various competitions. And we'll come back shortly for the first leg at the Astana Arena in Kazakhstan for the second qualifying round of the Champions League. And here are the team sheets for this first leg away from home in Kazakhstan. Astana on the left, pretty much no familiar names in that team that I can spot. Our team very similar to the one that we did put out in yesterday's episode in the first leg anyway, that you did see on camera before we showed you guys the highlights of the second leg. The first 11 exactly the same. We've just made a few changes on the bench with that injury to Sukularak as Bonnet and Gavioli as the midfield backup on the bench, but otherwise we are unchanged, and hopefully we can pick up a similar type of result over these 2 legs. And an early highlight here in the favour of Astana potentially, as they do have a throw-in inside the final third, being away from home today. We are in the black uniform, Astana in the light blue/white uniform, and they flick that out to the right-hand side. They're trying to get something going here nice and early, pass that back, but they are holding possession quite well early on in this game. Are the Kazakhstan outfit already looking a bit more threatening than the team that we did take on in yesterday's episode. These guys haven't got past Sligo Rovers. They square that ball across the face of goal. That is a wonderful save from Sarah Fellini. We should really be 1-0 down away from home early here, so this is already looking like a tougher matchup than what we had in yesterday's episode. We do clear the corner, but a good early chance there for Astana, and it does remain 0-0, just approaching the 10-minute mark. And now we do have another highlight, a goal kick here to Astana, and we do miss that header, but luckily Galtason is there to tidy things up for us. Pedro picks it out. Nygaard on the right-hand side, just on the edge of the box. It's a little bit of a loose touch from him though, and we do lose possession. They start to drive forward here, do the Kazakhstan side, holding the ball quite well early in this game. In these first 10 minutes, based on the 2 highlights that we have seen, we've just looked a little bit sloppy to start off in this game, but finally having some time on the ball here. Nygaard picks out Pedro, playing that back to the young Icelandic defensive midfielder and Galtason Sviderski for Bjarkason. Pedro one-on-one with the keeper, and we do go 1-0 up right on the 10-minute mark. A little bit of a shaky start that from us. It really should be 1-1. That was a superb save before from Sarah Fellini, and in the next highlight, we eventually get possession back, just spread the Astana defence a little bit. Good ball there from Bjarkason, good finish from João Pedro into the top right corner, and it is 1-0 Völsungur away from home. 28 minutes gone, and we do have a free kick after opening scoring at the 10-minute mark. It is headed away by the Kazakhstan side's defence, but we are still in possession just inside the final third. Mbiyamba holding the ball up. He's nice and high, but plays that back to Coutinho as we look to build from somewhat the back here and make it 2-0. Nice and early, lovely ball there from Pedro for Nygaard. He hits the post. That was a great chance to get that cushion goal here at the half-hour mark, but it does remain 1-0 for now. And not long off the back of that chance to Nygaard, it is a throw in here to Astana. Still that 1-0 lead, but we're starting to really work our way into this game after that big early save from Sarah Fellini. We still have not conceded a goal since that Napoli tie where we got knocked out of the Conference League in the last European season. That's a good interception there from Leandro Diaz. Bjarkason picks out Nicolucci Caviglia. What can he do here right on the edge of the box? Whizzes one in there for Patrick Nygaard, and after missing a good chance before, he puts that away at the near post, and it is starting to look quite nice for us here away from home in the first leg of the second qualifying round of the Champions League. 2-0 up, just over 10 minutes shy of half-time. It's a really nice ball that from Nicolucci Caviglia. Nygaard just sneaks that in the far post there from our angle, and we have a 2-goal advantage 10 minutes shy of half-time. And that is half-time in the first leg of the second qualifying round of the Champions League. You can see stats-wise, Astana did start that game off a bit stronger than us, and we're not on top of these guys by as much as we were in yesterday's game against the Lithuanian outfit, but we do still have a 2-goal advantage, largely thanks to that big save from Sarah Fellini in the 5th minute, and since then we have looked pretty good. These guys definitely throwing a lot more than us than the team in yesterday's episode did, but we are going to be forced into one change at half-time here. Nygaard picked up a little bit of a knock late in that first half. We want to make sure that he is fit and available for the second leg as well as any future rounds of Champions League qualifying. So Ledsong can come on for him. We'll switch him with Bjarkason to the other side of the wing. One change used at half-time, but in a pretty good position away from home, 2-0 up. And early in the second half, we have our first highlight, which is a free kick. Corbo just loops that over to Ledsong Sviderski, the João Pedro tight angle. Tries to square that for Nicolucci Caviglia. Not sure if that was quite the right idea, but in the end, looks like we are going to get the ball back because that clearance does go straight to Xavier Mbiyamba, and we start to drive forward here through Nicolucci Caviglia. Slide tackle that falls oh so kindly for João Pedro. It's a very fortunate goal, but we will take it. And just after the restart, we are now in a very good position away from home here. 3-0 up in Kazakhstan. Sviderski to Nicolucci Caviglia. He's trying to slot Ledsong through there. It's a decent slide tackle, but unfortunately, it just puts it into a perfect path for João Pedro to take that around the goalkeeper, just as to slot it away, and we are 3-0 up after 50 minutes of the first leg. And not too long off the back of that goal, it is a free kick here to Astana. It's a header there from Lozano, I think that was, just goes over the bar, so they're still offering a little bit in this game, but we do still hold that 3-0 lead. And a few minutes later, I think it's time for us to make our second substitution. Feel like we've got this game pretty well under control. We will take off Nicolucci Caviglia just to make sure he doesn't pick up an injury. He's still a little bit injury prone since recovering from that big injury he had late last season. Gavioli can come on for him. 35 minutes left, still 3-0 up. And shortly off the back of that second substitution, we do have a throw in. Coutinho takes that short to Bjarkason. Can we make this 4-0 and put ourselves into a very good position going into that home league, trying to pick out Ledsong? We were there, but the clearance does fall to Corbo, albeit that's a good tackle there from Lizgano on Sviderski, the player who went close with that header before, and it is the Kazakhstan side in position, trying to get something going potentially here down this right-hand side, but we are pressing them quite nice. They're not making too many serious inroads at the moment, albeit now they start to drive forward yet again here through Lozano. Nice switch out there to the left-hand side. Ebong, what will he do? Puts that in there for Nazarbayev, and they do get a goal back. That is the first time we have conceded a goal, as I said earlier, since that Napoli tie. It has been about 4 months, I think, so it's a long time since we've conceded a goal. Fellini did quite well to keep one out earlier, but this time it is a good finish there by, I presume, their right winger, and they get the scoreline back to 3-1 in their home league. And into the last few minutes of this tie, we did bring Rubio on for Pedro at about the 69-minute mark. Felt like a nice time to make our last substitution, keeping Yao Pedro fresh, but since that goal back for Astana, there have been no highlights. That's a pretty good result away from home, 3-1. A little bit frustrating to concede that goal just around the hour mark, but they should have really hit a goal earlier. A very good save early on from Fellini, and that is a pretty good result to take back into the home league. We should be in a position putting this first team out again for that game where we make our way through to the third qualifying round. And as I said at the start of the episode, that would guarantee us a place in the group stages of a European competition for the third straight season in this save, and that would be very nice indeed. Looks like we're in a quite good position to make sure that that does happen. We will get through this post-match interview and just see what the scoreline is in that tie between Red Star and Sheriff, as well as that is the tie that interests us going in to the next round. And right down the bottom there, you can see that Red Star picked up a 3-0 win at home, so it does look like they are in a very good position to be meeting us, hopefully, in the third qualifying round of the Champions League. But unless something interesting happens in between now and then, we will come back shortly for that second leg. And coming back a day before the second leg against Astana, because something rather funny has happened here. Breidablik, bottom of the league, are offering us, top of the league, about 30 points above them at the moment, a job interview. Good club, good youngsters, but I think we're going to decline this because they kind of suck at the moment. See, they've sacked their manager, so they must be really struggling in the league at the moment. So interesting to see they're trying to tap us up for that job. Not too sure why we would go quite that far down. It might actually help out the Builder Nation side of the save, because it does look like we've built quite a good team here early doors at Völsungur. Maybe we could have gone to a different club and tried to strengthen them up as well, but they are really struggling. They are in quite a pickle at the bottom of the table, a few points away from safety. So I think we're going to decline that, but seeing as we have come back in between those two leagues, we will show you guys the highlights of the domestic game that we have played in between these Champions League qualifiers. It was a home game against Nats KR, and the only goal here coming after 2 minutes. Kurt Shaw with a header came off the crossbar. Luckily, Gavioli was there to tuck that away. That was the only goal in this game. We definitely should have won this game by more based on the XG, but it's another 3 points in the league. We are still yet to drop points domestically this season, so we are in a great position so far in the domestic league, having played 12 games, 12 from 12 on 36 points. As I said before, Breidablik are 30 points below us and wanted us to ditch Völsungur for them, which is a little bit presumptuous, a little bit cheeky. I do not think that would have been a good idea, but we are in a great position at the top of the table, 10 points clear of HK with 2 games in hand. That could stretch out to a 16-point gap by the time that fixtures do even up, albeit Valarekiewicz also have 2 games in hand, could potentially move up to 27 points by that stage, but we still have a very, very comfortable lead at the top of the table. Looks like we are going to cakewalk the league this season, which is nice considering that we are putting out a rotation team for most domestic games at the moment, but we will come back shortly with that 3-1 advantage going into the home league of these Champions League qualifiers in the second round. 7 minutes gone, we have our first highlight of this game, a corner in our favour. Nygaard trying to pick out someone there at the near post. We do keep possession, in case you are wondering. Exactly the same squad and bench that we did have in that first leg of today's episode. In fact, I do tell a lie, Arneson is on the bench there instead of Bonnet, so that's the one change, just a little bit more versatility as a midfield. Bench options, Vidursky there with a header. It just goes over the bar and it remains 3-1 on aggregate after 10 minutes of the second leg. And coming up to the 12-minute mark now, we do have a corner. Nicolusi Caviglia puts this in for Mbiyamba. It falls kindly off an attempted save from their goalkeeper, and Bjarkason picks up yet another goal in Champions League qualifying. It is very fortunate, very similar to the goal that you saw just before from that domestic game against Nuts KR, but we will take it, and we are 4-1 up on aggregate early in the second leg.
Yeah.
And just as I was saying that, for the first time in quite a while, we can bust out the Mark Richardson, and it's a bit unfortunate. Patrick Nygaard has picked up a serious injury. Of course, we did take him off at halftime in that previous leg, so that's a little bit worrying. Hopefully, we're not going to be without him for too long, albeit Wilson Isidore is registered, so we do have a good, capable backup for the upcoming rounds should we be unable to make a replacement, but we'll make the same change we made in the last game. Lead song coming on for him. A little bit concerning that though, after only 15 minutes of the second leg. 27 minutes gone here, and it is Astana on the ball looking to hit us while we're potentially just feeling a little bit nervy after that injury to Nygaard, albeit that is a good foot in there from our captain, Nicolusi Caviglia, looking to get things back on track and hopefully extend this lead. Bjarkason puts that in for well, Pedro, and we will extend that lead. That's his 23rd goal of the season, both in continental football and domestic football, and we are in a great position now, 5-1 up, just coming up towards the half-hour mark of the second leg at home. We should be making our way through to the third qualifying round of the Champions League, and we're doing it a little bit more comfortably than we were at this stage last season as well, which is very nice, in a strong position here in the first half of the second leg. And that is half-time in the second leg, still in a great position here, 5-1 up on aggregate, 2-0 up on the day. This time Astana are not really threatening us in this home game, so that bodes well. We won't make any changes here to start off the second half just because we've already been forced into one quite early. We'll just keep them up our sleeve in case we suffer any more injuries, but looking good with 45 minutes left. 53 minutes gone, and we are on the attack here to start off the second half of the second leg. Ledson, who has come off the bench quite early in this game thanks to that Nygaard injury. That's a nice ball there for Galtason. It's a pretty tame shot, but the goalkeeper has a little bit of trouble with that. Has to pair it out for a corner, and we might have a chance here to extend our lead. He's trying to pick out Mbayamba there at the near post. Can't quite do it. It's a little bit scratchy that from Astana trying to clear that ball, but they eventually do. And I think it's time for us to make our second substitution here. It is Nicolusi Caviglia. Again, we want to just make sure he doesn't get injured, especially after that 1-2 Nygaard. We will bring Arneson on for him because, in fact, I did actually leave Bonnet on the bench. It was Gavioli who we got rid of in favour of Arneson, but he can come on in the Mazzala role, the young player that we did sign from the Mulder team in the early season transfer window. 2 subs used just shy of the hour mark, and we are still 5-1 up. And shortly off the back of that substitution, it is a free kick here to Astana. It's a great chance there at the far post. They have missed some really good chances across both legs in this tie. That one coming off the post, and it does remain 5-1 on aggregate. And up to the 75-minute mark here, no highlights since that great chance to Astana, but we will make our last substitutions. Vidursky down to a red heart. We probably should have actually kept Gavioli on the bench instead of Bonnet, considering that, but Bonnet is going to come on. We'll see what he can do as a box-to-box midfielder instead of his usual role as halfback. That's our last sub used. 5-1 up with 15 minutes left. And only a few minutes left in this game now. Astana trying to get something going in this game, trying to get a goal back, but we are in a great position to be making our way through to the third qualifying round. As I said earlier, definitely doing it a lot more comfortably than we were last season, those iffy games against the likes of Qarabag in this round, but that's a really good finish there from João Pedro. That's his second of the game, and we are going to be winning this one, hopefully 3-0, somewhat matching what we did in the first leg, that Astana goal aside. So we're being quite consistent with our goal scoring across these two ties. Good long ball forward there from Ledson. Pedro just takes that to the right-hand side of the goalkeeper, slots it in the bottom right corner. You can see stats-wise there, Astana have definitely offered a lot more in the second half than they did in the first half, but it doesn't matter what they did because we pick up a very comfortable, yet again, 6-1 win on aggregate. We are cruising our way into the third qualifying round of the Champions League, and already feeling like we might be able to do a little bit better than we did last season. Maybe we're going to be able to sneak our way into the group stages of the Champions League this time around, but we will come back shortly, see whether Sheriff pulled off a big comeback against Red Star, and also check in on that injury to Patrick Nygaard. And back in the inbox off the back of that very comfortable 2-legged win there against Astana, just showing you guys that yet again we pick up £85,500 for continuing in the qualifying rounds of the Champions League. We keep making our way up, and Patrick Nygaard has done a groin strain. He is going to be out pretty much for the rest of qualifying, potentially for the early stages of these Champions League games. If we do make it that far as well, he's going to be out for 5 to 6 weeks at the earliest. Not too sure what we are going to be able to do about that. Wilson Isidore, very good backup. We might be able to register someone like Frederick Larson to come in his place for the rest of these qualifiers. So that's a little bit of a downer. One of our best players this season so far, he is out for the rest of Champions League qualifying. And looking at who we do have in the third qualifying round, it is Red Star Belgrade. They did hold on for that win against Sheriff in that second qualifying round. Just having a look at how comfortably they did do that. They lost 1-0 in the second leg, but did have that good 3-0 lead from the first leg. So they qualified pretty comfortably for that round, albeit not quite as well as we did it. So hopefully that's another tie that we can win, and that would get us back into that Champions League playoff, the same stage that we did make last season, albeit I think this is the first time that we have taken on a past Champions League winner in the qualifiers, so they could be a little bit stronger than I think, but certainly that is going to be an interesting tie to start off things here next week on the channel. And before we do wrap things up, we'll just show you guys that we have actually made a few more transfers since the end of yesterday's episode as well, albeit these are all players who have gone straight into the under-19s. First off, Nicolas Hoja. These are all players who were released from their contracts at the end of the European season at the end of June. He is a 2-star current ability, 4-star potential player, can play all the way down that right-hand side. Could also play up front, 18-year-old Danish player. Those Nordic countries do qualify for Icelandic residency earlier than other countries, so he's a decent pickup, having come from a few various clubs in Denmark. The next player that we picked up was again from the Nordics, again from Denmark. This is Christian Bundgaard. He is a centre-back, come defensive midfielder, come right back, 1.5-star current ability, 4-star potential. He has gone straight back out on loan to Leknir Reykjavik, and he has spent some time recently at Midtjylland, among others. The next free transfer that we made for the under-18s, Anthony Perez. He is a Spanish 17-year-old with good potential, 4.5-star potential, 1.5-star current ability. Does mean we now have a lot of young left backs at the club, but he has spent some recent time at a team in Spain down in the lower divisions, Gimnàstic de Tarragona. The next free transfer we made was Gomez. He has gone straight out on loan to Leknir, a Brazilian 18-year-old left winger. He spent some recent time at Bangu in Brazil before he sent him out for that loan. He is 1.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. And the last transfer that we have made coming in since yesterday's episode is again from a Nordic country, and that is Lasse Jorgensen. He is a 16-year-old, good young age to be bringing a player into the club, 1-star current ability, 4.5-star potential, training him up as a left winger, and he has spent some recent time also at Midtjylland. Those are the additions that we have made, albeit all of those not going to get near the first team for quite some time. And we have in fact loaned a player out who has spent quite a bit of time in and around the first team over the last few seasons, and that is Ricardo Boscolo-Shio. Not in our plans anymore with the number of midfielders that we do have in the club of similar ability, and they are also homegrown as well. So he has gone out on loan to Foggia back in Italy. So that wraps up our transfer business since the end of yesterday's episode, and we'll wrap up today's episode as well. If you did enjoy it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until the start of next week, where we continue Champions League qualifying against Red Star Belgrade, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.